Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Good morning, I'm Karl Fitzpatrick and welcome to Business Matters. Well, you may recall my disappointment a few weeks ago when I learned that Microfinance Ireland had suspended accepting applications for a COVID-19 business loan. While applications are reopening on Monday next, one announcement that went under the radar this week is that the maximum loan amount has been reduced by 50% from €50,000 to just €25,000. This microfinance loan was going to act as a critical lifeline to so many small businesses across the country during the winter months to assist with their cash flow needs. So I do hope that the national business organisations will lobby government to have that maximum loan amount increased back up to €50,000. Well, since its launch, the ACORNS programme has assisted hundreds of rurally based female entrepreneurs to grow their businesses. With applications now open for the sixth cycle of the ACORNS programme, Mary Walsh of Irwell Pallets is a lead mentor on the programme, and she joins me now to discuss this initiative in more detail. Mary, before we discuss ACORNS, how has your own business, Irwell Pallets, been performing since the onset of COVID-19?
Karl, since the onset of COVID, thankfully, we have been performing very strongly. We operate and supply into the food, drinks, medical devices, pharmaceutical sectors, and those sectors have been extremely busy and extremely strong. So thankfully, we're supplying into that mix of sectors.
And more generally, Mary, what's your outlook for the business environment in Ireland over the next 12 months?
Karl, some sectors will perform and continue to perform quite strongly. There are certainly challenges out there, and COVID-19 restrictions, government, and indeed very necessary restrictions that are in place are certainly making it a very, very challenging environment for some sectors. So it's going to be very much a mixed bag, I think, Karl. The essential service type sector will perform strongly, but maybe the more some non-essential and indeed those that are restricted then by the government restrictions, it is going to be a difficult time.
Now, Mary, the reason I've asked you to join us on this morning's show is to discuss ACORNS. It's a programme that was introduced by Paula Fitzsimons 6 years ago now, but what's it all about?
ACORNS, it's a 6-month part-time development programme for early-stage female entrepreneurs, and it's focused, Karl, on developing the potential of the female entrepreneur living in rural Ireland and who've already started a business or who've taken very concrete steps towards setting up a business, be it that they have, that strong business plan in place or that bank loan in place, or indeed have an order that they have to fill. So they must be either up and running or very concrete steps towards setting up a business. And if they're up and running since, say, the 1st of January 2018.
Now, Mary, you mentioned that the programme itself is aimed at supporting female entrepreneurs setting up and growing a business in rural Ireland. But what are the key challenges that differ from people operating in urban areas versus rural areas?
There's less opportunity in rural areas to network, and regionally, geographically, there may be less opportunity. And particularly now, I think during the pandemic, there's less opportunity to network with like-minded people who are maybe at your level, and indeed difficult to network and to meet with those mentors, that will help get you to your next stage. So ACORNS, this is its 6th cycle, but I think it's needed now more than ever, Karl, because it will offer that networking opportunity and peer-to-peer support for entrepreneurs starting a business in rural Ireland.
Now, Mary, I know that you've been involved with ACORNS since the very beginning 6 years ago, and I do believe that at the time, because of the time commitment involved, you were adamant that your commitment would just be for the pilot. What keeps you coming back?
Indeed, yes, this is my 6th programme, and a good question. Karl, I'm hopeful that the participants are learning from me, but I'm certainly learning from them as well, because they're all involved in different businesses, growing and developing different businesses in different parts of the country. So I'm learning skills that we may not necessarily be using at the moment in our business, but we may be learning them in the future. So I find engaging with such energetic and hardworking people, I am learning from them as well. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And I do like giving back, and it's part of the culture and the ethos of our company, Our Well Pallets, to give back to community and to give back to the region and to give back nationally. And I find it is a wonderful way to do that. And I do enjoy the work.
And over 250 female entrepreneurs have gone through the programme over the past 5 years. But from your insights into the programme, Mary, what are the key attributes of successful entrepreneurs?
Great question again. Again, it's knowing the business and knowing the business that they're setting up and knowing the customer. Really knowing the business though themselves and knowing what they're trying to build, what they're trying to achieve, and having a good understanding of their on the accounting side of it, that it adds up, and that the customer can afford it, that the customer needs it. Those participants, I find, have been very successful, and that the ones that know their business well and continue to work hard at knowing their business, they've been very successful.
And Mary, any entrepreneur is surrounded by no shortage of challenges as they go about their entrepreneurial journey. So as a result of that, entrepreneurs need to be resilient. What advice have you got for entrepreneurs this morning listening to the show in terms of how they can go about building that resilience?
Yes, building the resilience, because what we tell all of the participants on the roundtable meetings, Karl, is that a business, it is a journey, and it is a series of many road bumps and of many good days, but there will be bad days, and they will need to know how to manage the bad days every bit as good as how they manage the good days. So, to look at it in that way, that it's a journey, and, that it won't be about all uphill, and, there will be ash clouds, there'll be foot and mouth disease, there'll be pandemics, there'll be 9/11s. All of this happens in businesses, in many of and indeed in our own business. We're delighted to celebrate 30 years in business this year. So we've had many experiences over the 30 years, and the participant must understand that they must build that bit of resilience for the day that things may change, and that all of their business days won't be the same, and it is a journey. It's a journey, and it's a wonderful journey, but there will be road bumps, and to be ready for those and to be resilient enough to work through them.
And of course, Mary, Our Well Pallets is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. So in terms of problem solving within your own business over that period of time, how do you go about solving problems?
Karl, I suppose we try to avoid problems by not having them and try and plan as well as you can. That's really important in business, is to plan in as much as you can for the next stage, in the next development in your business, and to keep very much in touch with your customer and supply what your customer wants and listen to your customer. It's pointless of us providing a service to our customer that the customer doesn't need or doesn't require. It's really important to listen to the customer and understand what they want, and then plan accordingly. Like we were all hit first week in March of this year, you will be hit left field with surprises. And, okay, when they hit, just make a plan immediately as to how you will manage them, and keep working at that plan. Make the list, keep ticking off what will resolve whatever issue or whatever problem is out there or prevailing. It is about good planning and listening to the customer.
And of course, you've had the opportunity over the past 6 years with ACORNS to work with some remarkable entrepreneurs. But have there been any notable successes?
Absolutely. I'm thinking of the jewellery business at the moment in the pandemic. It's been doing extraordinarily well. And one of my participants, Louis Jewellery, Anya Breen, has been doing extremely well online, I would add. Her business is doing very well. Bean and Goose Chocolate, Karen Keane, is also doing extremely well. People are delighted to be buying premium chocolate online during the pandemic. So it's amazing. Those businesses are doing really well. Niamh Hogan, Hollis Skincare, another past participant, doing extremely well. So, and they have seen, where online was going to be the way they could reach a wider audience, and they have been gearing up and getting ready to have a very strong online presence, and they've been working steadily to achieve that, and they're all doing extremely well. And a number of other businesses, Karl, they're all working really hard on their businesses and doing very well. Delighted to say.
Of course, the pandemic has raised lots of challenges for businesses right across the country. But how important has it been for participants to be open-minded and open to adapting their business to the market conditions that face them?
Yes, this challenge will certainly strongly indicate to them that they must be adaptable, that they must be very open. And again, this is what will come up in roundtable meetings with the participants. We can go through challenges that individuals may have around the table, and what's one person's challenge may not be a challenge for the next person at all. So those peer-to-peer group meetings are invaluable for sharing ideas and finding solutions to problems, and almost using the round table meetings as a boardroom where they can throw out ideas and indeed get ideas. So, very much they're learning from one another and helping one another on those meetings.
And Mary, a key feature, of course, of the ACORNS programme has been the round table discussions. What happens at the round table discussions, and why are they so valuable?
It's a very safe place, Karl, for the participants to meet. They meet once a month, and we'll have a particular agenda sent out before each meeting, and one may be around accounting, or another may be marketing, sales, or indeed it may be on HR. But the participants can come to the meeting and they can, in confidence, discuss what issue they have at that table, and they can often get solutions to their problems, in that peer-to-peer meeting situation. And the participants, they'll support one another, and they'll get very good advice from the mentor, the lead entrepreneur, and the lead entrepreneurs are business women who have started and grown successfully their own business in rural Ireland, and they work on a voluntary basis. But by working together, they will find solutions to the problems in a confidential setting.
And of course, Mary, finally, unfortunately, redundancies are inevitable over the months ahead. And this is often a time of reflection for people, and they often consider self-employment as a career route. What advice have you got for those?
I would say do the research. If you have a good idea, do the research for sure. Test it, that it is a product or a service that is required. Wonderful if it's recession-proof and pandemic-proof as well. But I would say do the research. And if, like ourselves, when we started our business, if the person can have some part-time employment maybe to support that business idea, so that they can have part-time employment, and while they're growing and developing the business, I would say all the better. So that will give them time and space to really research the business and test it for resilience and indeed for sustainability. It must be a sustainable business.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Mary Walsh, a lead mentor on the ACORNS programme. And if any of our listeners would like to access more information about this initiative, you can log on to acorns.ie.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.